2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor wrote a private journal he never meant for anyone to read. When I found it, it broke me. And then it rebuilt me. These are the Stoic lessons that changed how I face every single hard day.
You know, for centuries, we've all been chasing things that promise peace but never seem to deliver. Money, status, the approval of other people. We get them, and we're still restless. The Stoics, these incredible philosophers from ancient Greece and Rome, they knew why. They taught that real strength, that unshakable inner peace, it's not found out there. It's built deliberately right in here.
So let's take a look at this ancient operating system. We'll start with its foundational code, what you can and can't control. From there, we'll talk about mastering our internal world and learning how to see obstacles as the path forward. And finally, we'll get into the daily practices that build what we're all after, an unshakable character.
All right, let's get right to the heart of it. This first lesson, it's the most important one. It's about where we choose to place our energy. Honestly, it's the foundation for everything else. A philosopher named Epictetus taught that life becomes incredibly simple when we finally grasp one core idea. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. Now, this isn't about just giving up or being passive. Not at all. It's about strategic focus. It's about saving your energy for the only battles you can actually win. This split seems so simple, but think about how often we ignore it. What's in our control? Our judgments, our actions, our choices, our character. What's not? Well, pretty much everything else. What other people think of us, what happened yesterday, what might happen tomorrow. So much of our modern anxiety comes from living in that right-hand column, trying desperately to control the uncontrollable. True peace, it's found when you bring all that energy back to the left. And here's a really critical distinction. We get so frustrated when we can't just stop a negative thought, right? But the Stoics knew that thoughts, they just appear out of nowhere. You don't control that initial spark. Your real power lies in what you do next. You can observe that thought, and then you choose. Do I agree with this? Do I give this thought my energy? That choice, that's everything. So if we can't control external events, but we can control our judgment of them, then what does that mean? It means the source of our distress is never really out there. It's in here. An event is just a fact, period. It's a blank slate. The suffering or the opportunity, it comes from the story we decide to write on that slate. Imagine two people get laid off from the same job. One sees it as a total catastrophe, a final judgment on their worth. The other, they see it as an unexpected chance to pivot, to learn something new. The event was identical. The story they told themselves, that made all the difference. So how do you actually practice this? The Stoics had a name for it, epoche, which just means suspending your judgment. An event happens. Before that emotional wave crashes over you, you create a little bit of space. You just pause. You observe the facts without layering a story on top. Then you choose your response. It's a mental muscle, and like any muscle, it needs consistent training. Now, this internal mastery is what prepares us for the external world. Because if we can't control what happens to us, what do we do when adversity, inevitably, shows up? Most people spend their lives trying to find a path without obstacles. The Stoic understands that a life without obstacles, well, it creates no strength. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, he wrote this line in his private journal. This wasn't some clever phrase for a speech. It was a command to himself. To see the problem not as something blocking the path, but as the path itself. So the process is simple, but it is incredibly powerful. When you face a roadblock, you don't just put up with it. You reframe it. You see it for what it is. This isn't just an impediment. It's a test. This failure is a chance to practice resilience. This difficult conversation is a chance to practice courage. And just like that, the very thing that was meant to stop you becomes your fuel. Look, Stoicism was never meant to be a subject you just read about in a book. It's something you do. It's a daily training regimen for the mind. The Stoics trained their minds with daily exercises, just like an athlete. They'd practice voluntary discomfort, something as simple as a cold shower, to weaken hardship's power over them. They'd reflect on impermanence, memento mori, not to be morbid, but to truly value the present moment. They learned to stop chasing external approval and to value their time as the one thing they could never get back. They even chose role models, constantly asking themselves, what would a great person do in this situation? This line from Seneca, man, it always hits hard. We act like we have an infinite supply of time, don't we? Wasting hours on things that just don't matter. The Stoics saw each day as this precious gift that would never be returned. Every hour we spend on distraction, that's a piece of our life we can never get back. We have to respect our time. We have to invest it. Seeking approval from other people, it's like putting your peace in someone else's hands. Their opinions are fickle. They can change with the wind. One day they praise you, the next they criticize you. If your self-worth is tied to that roller coaster, you will never feel stable. The Stoic anchor is internal. Are you acting with integrity? Are you being honest? Is your character solid? That is the only approval that actually lasts. So what is all this for? All these practices, all this discipline, where is it all leading? It all points to the ultimate goal of the entire philosophy. At its absolute heart, Stoicism is simple. It's not about becoming famous or rich or comfortable. It's about becoming a better person. Because all those external things, money, fame, even our own health, they can be taken from you in an instant. But your character, who you choose to be, that is the one thing that is truly yours. It is the one possession that can never be lost. And what does that better human being look like? The Stoics define it by these 4 virtues. Wisdom, to know the difference between good and bad. Courage, to face difficulty with integrity. Justice, to treat other people fairly always. And self-control, to master our desires and our fears. Every single practice, every lesson, it's all designed to build these 4 things. Now, this is a huge misunderstanding. The goal is not to become a robot totally devoid of feeling. That's not human. The goal is resilience. It's about feeling the sting of a setback or the sadness of a loss, but not being destroyed by it. It's about returning to your calm, rational center more quickly and with more grace every single time. Real change doesn't come from just listening to something. It comes from small actions practiced every day. So as we close here, just ask yourself, which one of these ideas, which one of these tools do you need to pick up and start using today?